Evening, all back for Rat Baby sketch. I feel like I could have like an intro spiel, but never, never right. I don't know. Hard to tell. Hard to tell. Nothing to gauge. So it may look like we're getting started on the first panel, but I've actually done a few panels in the background. So that I get this one done because I've kind of neglected it. It's a good idea, but with the rest of the comic being one in the proper order. I've labeled this pretty like a slice of life episode because it is really just like a lot of calm. Ratchet chilling out while Mucker goes to the kitchen, does something. Ratchet doesn't know what, but he's in the kitchen while Ratchet is out. Bulbous Ratchet. Bulby. Almost. I can work with it. I think. I think I can work. Should be doable. Salvageable, even. So from a lot of front-on angles, you actually don't see the flight helmet, and that is of course intentional. It makes my life slightly easier. I don't have to draw the flight helmet every single time. But yeah, from the front you can't really see the flight helmet other than the goggles, which aren't really a part of the flight helmet. I'd also intended on testing out on a vector altering thing, which basically uh, edits or alters the thickness of a line. I haven't tried it yet, so I want to, because if I did use something like that, it would actually make a lot of this process a lot easier. Some of these lines can get a bit too thick. That's not really what I want. I want the lines to be kind of uniform. Here's an easy draw. Just a triangle with a notch in it. Little. There we go. Way better. Highlight. Hi, Zombie Slayer. I enter thy realm. Hello, welcome. How you doing? How you been? Is that right? No. The line work for his like cheeks and stuff is very subtle here. Really not. Yeah, very very simple. Touch do, especially in like density. Might fix that just slightly. So about what Avatar: The Last Airbender season 4, a YouTuber called Overanalyzing Avatar said, "What would book 4 even be about? Finding Zuko's mom, I guess that's a massive step down in stakes from stopping 100 years war." Yeah, exactly. It's so one of the things about good season writing is that there has to be escalation. So every season of everything you've ever seen, it escalates. It has to escalate from what it was before. And if there's no room for escalation, then there's no room for growth. What did you say that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the term in screenwriting is called escalation. And basically, without it, you don't have a means of keeping people interested or entertained. Or not entertained, interested in the story. If you have no escalation, then your characters don't grow. They're just dealing with the same thing over and over again. Which again is the same thing with Castlevania, is that it lacked escalation. Or it struggled for escalation, so it had to keep repeating itself, essentially. And a lot of people didn't, well, a lot of people weren't necessarily about it. If Zuko's mum is trapped, kidnapped, or something, well, I don't know, maybe call upon the thousands of soldiers Zuko alone can command, and you're good. Yeah, exactly. It's not even, it shouldn't even be a question of can they find her. If she's alive, they can find her, and if she's dead, they can definitely find her as well. It's not a question of if anymore. Now that Zuko is Fire Lord, so there is no escalation in that, and that's fine because as it turned out, it was a good comic, but it wouldn't have made a good series. Straight up. She was kidnapped for some reason, then someone's going to have a bad time with Fire Lord Zuko. Exactly. They're going to regret. They'll live to regret kidnapping. I don't think she was kidnapped. She left. But even so, if she was kidnapped, whoever kidnapped her is going to have a bad time. Now that the Fire Lord, now that her son is the Fire Lord. Or literally just call you a massive trump card that is Aang. Exactly. He's friends with the Avatar too. First time in 100 years, or however many years it was. But the Fire Lord and the Avatar are friends, so you may not die because how Aang is, but you're going to suffer. I guess it is also like there's a question to that is that, I mean, without that escalation, there's not really anything to explore, but it doesn't mean that there's not necessarily intrigue in that world, but I don't think it's intrigue for a TV series. So I guess in a sense, yeah, no, the and actually this was what I was going to say. The thing that I thought of but then forgot before I even said it, is that a lot of the people who are asking for more, Avatar, The Last Airbender content, like stuff with Aang and the gang and stuff, they're kind of just asking because they're afraid of change, or they're not resistant to change, or they're resistant to change. In that they just want more of something without thinking about the context of what more would be. Not that it wouldn't be interesting, but it's very well not interesting here. Yeah, well, it's not that it's not interesting, it's that it's just not the format for this to be interesting. Because, like, as it proved with the comic, it was actually very interesting in the comic, but it wouldn't be interesting as a TV series. And I think people always think when that's said, it's a negative thing, and it's not. It's not a negative thing. I think a lot of people kind of um, connect or consider constructive feedback with a sense of negativity, when the truth is that it's not always that, like, it's not always the case. Constructive feedback to be constructive, it's got to be a lot of things. Like, it has to tick a lot of boxes. That is, like, developmental and helpful. Uh, and I think the reason people don't are more resistant to feedback nowadays is because a lot of people don't know how to give it anymore. And then by extension, people don't know how to take it as well. Smiley, hello. How you doing? How you been? I've seen that you've been, like, from what I've seen, you've been very busy with your Pokemon art on Insta. Very impressed with the amount of stuff that you're posting. Like, holy crap, you are dedicated. How you doing? Doing good. Glad to hear it. Love to hear it. And if his mum was trapped somewhere in the Earth Kingdom, then just tell the Earth King that you'll give him money and help him rebuild his empire. And in exchange, he helps Zuko find his mum with the help of locals or something. Boom. There you go. It's done. Yeah, and truly, like, also, and well, Zuko's not necessarily friends with the Earth King, but Aang is, because they attended his birthday, or the birthday of his bear. Hey, yeah, indulge into your Pokemon liking a bit. No, do it, man. It's awesome. It's like, do it. Go for it. It's so cool to see. Um, been liking as many as many of them as I can, but I feel like I've fallen behind. I really like to see your stuff because it's so cool, and the amount of stuff that you post in a day is is admirable for sure. Like, you get stuff done. You get shit done. I'm almost jealous of how much you get done, on your work, because I'm here. I maybe do one or two panels a stream, and so I'm just like, oh, done. I don't have the energy. But yeah, no, keep doing it. You're very welcome. We are just got to stick together. That's maybe thin. That's still a bit of a slightly thin. Make it a bit thicker. Yeah, there we go. Better. Also about the comics, if I'm correct, you meet Ko's mother, who's like older than time itself and stuff. I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. We're just talking about the Avatar, The Last Airbender comics, Smiley, just to catch you up to speed. That's super cool. I've been meaning to read some more comics lately because it's research, you know. Essentially, reading comics for me is research. So I should be reading more comics. Um, and I haven't gotten around to it. But one that I would love to read, for those of you who know of the Amazon series, what's it, Invincible. I'd love to read that comic because it just looks, oh, geez, fascinating. Which I've heard are actually good, unlike others I've seen. Cough, cough, cough. Hey, wow, wow, what the fuck? No, that's fair. You you get one chapter a year, so really that's not top quality comic content. Not yet. It will be one day. But today is not that day. And I'm just gonna copy and paste these shelves. Because why would I make a bunch of shelves? Madness. Yeah, we like to make fun of the mouse every so often. I don't mind it. Totally happy with a bit of harmless banter. As do you know the YouTuber overanalyzing Avatar? I do not actually. I have not heard of them before. How? But I only really need edges. But actually, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to erase this from line work. I don't have to erase this from. Actually, gonna be simple to uh, insert into the sketchwork. I'm both super lazy and maybe overly perfectionist about stuff like that. So when it comes to line work, I'm always just a bit off. But okay, my problems are minute. Give it, give it a merge. There we go. That essentially is the line work done. I think I'm going fine. Ah, you're too kind, Smile. Kind. Far too sweet. I appreciate it. Far too sweet. He overanalyzes the show and comics every frame by frame stuff and will mention that this animation is wrong or will say the first time a character's name is said, point out callbacks to other episodes and so on. If you like that stuff, go to his channel. I might check it out. That sounds actually quite interesting. And like I feel like a lot of that stuff I would like receive quite well. I did love Avatar, so I'd love to know a little bit more about it. Catch my meaning? Sounds like art education. Yeah, it really does. Overanalyzing just everything that exists. inner peace. Ugh, that's my youth. Those were my days in high school and stuff. Overanalyzing absolutely everything that was artistic, any capacity. Yeah, sort of. Again, I'm doing that thing where I haven't drawn the entire body. I've drawn it head down to neck, down to shoulders. Not generally a good idea. Yeah, no, I'm gonna do a and by redo I mean I'm gonna draft incrementally so I get it in the right spot. For example, he points out that when the gang first gets to Ba Sing Se, you can see the pumas that help Momo in Tales of Ba Sing Se, in the Tales of Ba Sing Se episode. I did know that, and that is super cool. How tall is he comparative to Ratchet? That's probably about the right size. Nope, that's draft, but that's still okay. Oh, that's a crooked line. He also did video for the unaired episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I thought was interesting. Oh yeah, the unaired pilot? Or is there an unaired episode? Because I have the art book, so I know about the unaired pilot, and I've seen the designs and stuff, and the concept art for the characters in the unaired pilot. Sorry, unaired pilot. No, no, no need to apologize. I was just curious if there was an unaired episode or not, which would still be cool, and actually wouldn't surprise me, as from what I've heard, or from what I've read, it took about 9 months for each episode to be made, which is huge. That, like, to me, that feels like a huge amount of time. But very impressive as well. The fact that they can do such intricate kind of animation, even back then, like even of its time, still fascinating how much they achieved in that time and in that space. At least I think. Correct. There you go, scale right. Hey. Alright, yeah, it's actually that simple. It's not even that. I'm just like, I need to draw a back door for this inn, and then I'm just like, I need to get this perspective right, and the perspective is just as it has been. Really, it's not actually that complicated at all. But my brain's just like, no, make it complicated. Do it, you little rat. And very, very uncomplicated. All it took. He will also say that an a animation for Aang stuff is wrong, and then another shot is completely different. Then it eventually goes back to normal. Just want to know random shit about Avatar: The Last Airbender? Watch him. I would actually be keen to learn that and see that. That does seem interesting. Also kind of wouldn't surprise me. I feel like animation has a lot of that kind of like not corner cutting, but like um shortcuts in development. Off slightly. Animation is hard work. You're right, Smiley. It's insane how much like good quality animation is so complicated. Because like if you get into your head that 30 frame or 25 frames per second is is 25 images every second. That's as a traditional animator, you have to be drawing or creating 25 frames for 1 second of content, and that's insane. Like that is almost unfathomable to me. Fathomable. Like I genuinely sometimes I cannot like comprehend that complexity, that level of complexity. It's really incredible. And I admire anyone who does it. Like the animation you see on my streams and my content is a very watered down version of that. Like it's very not quite as complicated as that, and it's definitely I'm definitely not doing anything down to frames. I'm working in keyframes as opposed to actual framework. So I am genuinely in awe to actually animate for a little. Also one episode in which Momo's tail has completely different colors, but it's all in the same shot. Oh shit. Yeah. That stuff I kinda know about, the minor mistakes and stuff. There's like little ones that are just kinda cool, but also really like it's just like a minute mistake, and then all of a sudden there's like one frame where Momo has a colored tail. Like that. Alright, let's get to color and once we finish on this panel, we just move over there and we're working on shadows. We're not going to be doing any line work. I don't think we'll be doing any line work today after this amount of line work. Oh, he doesn't have blades. We're going to be doing some more line work, guys. Knives. His knives. His weapons. Can't forget the arm that needs to be armed. And he has arms, but he needs his other arms. I think that'll do. Nah, it's just slightly too wide. Need a blade that can be grippable. I've been drawing trading card booster packs. Initially, I thought about animating the opening of such a booster pack, and then the thought made me give up. Yeah, oh man, the sheer volume of work that would be involved in that is can be definitely terrifying. I can fully understand that. No, I get that 100%. I'm currently and writing a script for a introduction animation for Ratchet. So a little introduction and breakdown of who Ratchet is, why he's important, and stuff like that. I actually think you answered a question on my Instagram poll about it, Smiley. But that's something I'm working on, and it'll be keyframe stuff, but it's still a lot of work. So just the thought of that definitely makes me like, oh, animation. Ugh. Gotta animate something. Makes me fearful sometimes. And I forgot to draw it. Aratohu. Aratohu. My pronunciation's slowly getting better. I also have to learn Maori while I'm working on this comic. Every so often, Zoe will come in and be like, "You're doing it wrong," and I'm like, "Shit! I pronounced a Maori word wrong." No. Then I feel bad because I'm using the Maori language as the the cat eye language, and I'm just like, need to get this right. It needs to sound correct. And even better if it is just correct, you know? So as a result, I have characters like Adatohu, who's just a plushy bee, but I need to make sure I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Even book 4 was about finding Zuko's mum. Even if book 4 was about finding Zuko's mum, that obviously can't be the whole season, so at least 16 episodes that have to be about something else. Yeah, absolutely. They can't just give the Fire Lord back his bending. There's a little like from what I know like vaguely of the comics, there's a bit about the Fire Lord, the you know Ozai, like a little bit about him, but it's so minute and it's more like trying to think of Zuko's mum's name. I can't remember it, but like her getting retribution for what he did to her. But other than that, I don't know, like personally. But yeah, there's got to be stuff about the Fire Lord. But it's again, it's the Dracula problem. Is that you've created a villain so good, you can't really introduce a new villain. Because if you do, then they're never going to be like if you've made the perfect villain, then the next villain's just going to be a disappointment just by uh relation. Ursa, that's it. Yeah, Ursa, yeah. I knew it was something along those lines. My brain was like Ura or something like that. Yeah, she says he's weak and nothing at all while he's in prison and stuff. Yeah, which is very like gratifying, I think, like and a very fair um assessment of him. I think he's just a little man. Even with his powers, he was just a man trying to be big, essentially. Remove the draft and attend to any mistakes I have made. Hey, at your mouth. If I ever get the time, I'm probably gonna work on new assets for my stream and stuff, and like change up a few things. I think that might make sense. Book 4. Yes. Typo. Oh. Eh. I get what you mean. But yeah. I think will I ever get that free time? Probably not. Not for a long while. I don't think. Love to though. I'd love to do more animation and stuff. Maybe over my Christmas break I might take my laptop and just work on a few little things for myself. Then when we restart the year and I'm back, all the assets are different. That'd be kind of cool. Animating assets, yeah, exactly. Ooh. Oh, I'm getting the sweats. I'm getting the animating sweats. I fears it, but I also love it. I love the end result. But I hate the process. Essentially, I go a little bit mad and I die a little inside every time I have to animate. Just button. Oh no, I gotta animate. Thank you. Can I defer this to somebody else? No. It's yeah, it's one of those things that it's like, oh god, can I just give this to somebody else? But then I'm also like, I don't really want somebody else to do it because I could do it. And I got that mentality where I'm just like, I could just do it myself, and then I do it, and I hate the entire process, and then the end result is fine or good. I'm still like, ugh, done better. On one hand, you think it would be so cool. Yeah, exactly. Then you're in the process, and you're like, I hate this. Done. Done with this. I definitely have that issue because I also oil paint, and I think oil paint is 95% that where you're just like, I hate this. I wish I wasn't doing it. Oh, this sucks. And then like you're done, and you're just like, this is actually awesome. I'm really happy with it. And then you think, oh yeah, I could do another painting, and you get started on the next painting, and it's like it doesn't instantly look good, so you're just like, oh, it's all a waste of my time. Can't believe I talked myself into doing this. You know. Book 4 definitely can't be about rebuilding the world since that's boring as well. You could put the fact that they rebuilt the world at the ending and a couple minutes of everybody helping each other, and that's it, and that's all we really need. Yeah, absolutely. But I also think one thing is to like one thing shows that we also don't really want to see the grown-up gang anyway. Like we don't actually want to see the grown-up gang. I don't think people actually want to see that. I think people think they want to see that, but that's because they just want more Avatar, and that's totally fair enough. We all want more Avatar. But I actually like it's the same with the Harry Potter, like the ending of Deathly Hallows, where it's they're all adults, and it's like widely mocked. It's a widely mocked scene because it's like this is really dumb, and it doesn't feel earned or gratifying, and it's because it never would. So as a result, you know, we're asking for something we actually don't want, but it's because we don't want to see the end. Well, I think that's also a thing. People don't want something to end. Some people would actually rather something end, like not end badly, but like be bad, so then it doesn't have to end. If you get what I'm saying, you're picking up what I'm putting down, which is a little hard to understand. It's a little bit weird and wishy-washy, but like some people don't want their comfort show or their comfort comic or their comfort series to end, so they would rather it end badly. So then they're like, oh, they ruined it, and then they can put the blame of how it ended on, like, they can blame something on being bad or something ending on being bad, as opposed to being like, it's over. Now I gotta move on with my life. I think people would rather be annoyed about the ending, the way something ended, than be satisfied of the way something ended. If you know what I mean. I'm really like I feel like I'm explaining this terribly, but I also feel like some of you will get where I'm coming from. So that's why I keep going. Ash from Pokemon took a long time to win anything. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's also why that series works so well is because his arc was a real slow burn. Like Ash definitely wasn't a winner for a lot of Pokemon, but he was still well liked, a good character, morally very good, then morally very likable too, ethically very likable. But then also, as you say, Smiley, he didn't win a lot or at all, really. And so we're kind of led to like him through his character more so than where am I going with this? Then through him winning. There we go. You're picking up what I'm putting down. So about adult Ang show, I'm not sure if I want that, but I'll definitely be thinking, okay, so how do you fuck up these characters before Korra happens? Yeah. I wouldn't like it's an interesting thing because I almost wouldn't say they fucked up the characters. I think it's a slow, it's a minute character assassination. It's a term that I like to use, character assassination, in that these characters that you've built a bond with in later editions of stuff go on to do something terrible, or uh, something happens to them in a way that doesn't feel fulfilling, but it doesn't feel fulfilling in a way that actually feels like you've been cheated, as opposed to, a rug pull out from under you and stuff like that. And I think for like the gang and stuff, that does feel like the case to a certain extent. I think there's only so much you can do to maintain the status quo of how your character was in a series, especially if they've grown up and learned and all that. But I think the idea that Aang would have neglected his two non-airbending children over his airbending child is absolute bullshit. Like, he wouldn't. There's no way this guy would have done that. No way the Aang that we got to know over 3 seasons would have ignored two of his kids just because they didn't airbend. The dude has been set up to be like a genuinely fully realized character in the most positive sense of the word. So that just didn't make sense to me. Or the idea that Katara would allow even the White Lotus to kind of just let them keep Avatar, the new Avatar, in a compound. Insane. Like with Sokka, so we find out, or theorize, I forget what you said last time, I apologize, that he died protecting Korra off screen. Now we will only find out years later. How about you just not have him die off screen? Yeah. I mean, it's tough. That's a tough one. Because really, but it's also the have cake and eat it too kind of thing. Is that because the first arc in Legend of Korra was this almost war between benders and non-benders, and it was this uh, unseating of power against the benders from the non-benders, and the only reason Amon could kind of see dissent against the Avatar is because he allied people against benders when they were non-benders, and because there was a genuine lack of representation and a lack of um like, not fairness, but a lack of, well, this hierarchy almost with benders and non-benders. And so with Sokka gone, Sokka, dead and passed away, they actually didn't have a a voice, a speaking point from the non-bender's side. They didn't have a non-bender other than Asami, who is not a reasonable voice of the people of the non-benders, or the downtrodden non-benders, because she was rich. And there's this actually kind of weird and a little bit icky kind of sense that in the first season, Korra is essentially oppressing people. And Amon is right, but his means are uh, overly aggressive to the point where it's actually, his point is no longer valid. You know what I mean? It'll be easier when the show is done because you love the characters in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Watch Korra, then you get to watch the adult Aang show, do all that in a week, but of course this has taken almost a decade to come out. Yeah, I also think the draw for it and the pull to it is no longer really there. I think they made their studio way too late, which is heartbreaking because, like, honestly, I'd love to see more stuff in the world, like in the world of Avatar, but it just doesn't make sense anymore. We've spent so long away from it that newer series that have been inspired by it have popped up and come into existence, and that's a good thing. Like, that's, even if they're not necessarily good, that's still a good thing. We get more series that are kind of like Avatar or getting closer to Avatar, and the story writing is better, you know, things like that. So the fact that Avatar is coming back almost feels unnecessary. It feels like it's out of place now, in a way. Because I think we've also made our peace with it as well. So we've made our peace that there's not going to be more Aang and stuff. And now we're getting more Aang, and it's just like, but we made our peace. We were done. We're not free, but we were done. And they're like, no, 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 no. Got a little bit more to go. It's like with Glenn's death in Walking Dead because Negan killed someone, but who it was is a cliffhanger. Then you don't realize. Then you only realize that it was Glenn like a month later. But now that there's Netflix, you don't have to wait for the episodes to come out weekly or bi-weekly. Yeah. Yeah, right. There's not the same draw to it as there used to be. Now that you can binge a show. Fill the space. Then I need markers. Gotta fill in the juvenile drawing style or coloring style somehow. Nick. Yeah. Good. And there we go. That should be. Oh, well, there's one. There's a selection of bottles I need to add. We, of course, got to do this properly, so pink. Uh, pink bottom second shelf. There we go. That's a little. Ooh. Yellow. I don't know where I was. Apparently there's Avatar: The Last Airbender comics that came out this year, and that's fine. I don't mind that. Yeah, that's chill. I got no issue. I got no issue with them wanting to release consistent stuff. Like, that's not a problem to me. It's just trying to create an Avatar resurgence when there really isn't one. Because Legend of Korra wasn't that popular. Um, and it really didn't, yeah, it really didn't do well. So, like, it's clear that people are kind of over it. But again, who am I to say anything? Who am I to say anything about this stuff? My opinion is just my opinion at the end of the day as well. So, you know. Oh, Hey, thank you for the support, Smiley. Thank you for supporting my wild ideas, beliefs about Avatar. Again, haven't seen even half of Korra, but because of Korra, I don't trust them. I mean, again, not again. This also my belief is that you're allowed to make mistakes, and I'm not necessarily saying that Avatar: The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra was a mistake. Definitely not saying that, but I am saying that like you're still free to kind of make those kinds of mistakes. And I feel like my comments will be considered as maybe unfair, but I'm also of the school of thought that like you're allowed like Legend of Korra wasn't good. That's okay. Like, it can still be not good. Like it can something can be objectively not good but still enjoyed by many, and I know Legend of Korra is enjoyed by many, and for them I actually am very happy for them that they can derive enjoyment from something and that they like for the people who find it to be a comfort show, that's also good. You don't have to listen to me say, "Oh yeah, this is garbage," because it's not garbage as well. Another point I really want to make is that it's not bad. It's not a bad show. It's just not as good as The Last Airbender as well. I think that's also I need to preface that. I have to erase a lot of this bottle. I didn't color in the space around it. I'm a fool. Also, I'm making a comic, and I'm sure people will be like, "Oh, I didn't enjoy Rat Baby," and that's okay. Like you're allowed to not like it. That's also true. You can't have every episode be home run. Exactly. No, and if you did, that would actually be exhausting. Surely, like that would be an exhausting existence. But for your viewers, constant good episodes. And then what? How do you let go of that series? Yeah? Like even maybe one of the most popular shows of its time or of our time, Stranger Things. It suffered maybe too greatly from its success. But if you go back and look at season one, those episodes are fucking slow. Like holy shit, they're slow. And an episode can go by when nothing interesting happens. But that's also what made it so appealing is that you had that slow burn. Now that you know what's going to happen, it's maybe not quite as interesting, and you actually feel yourself kind of wasting away with so much time spent and faff, you know? But it's, yeah, like some of that enjoyment falls down to different contexts. You know, if you'd never seen Stranger Things before, you like that sort of thing, then you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of season one. If you go back and rewatch it, you might not. And so, like, say, hypothetically, you made the best show ever, and every episode was really good. How many people would actually watch it? The question. Because you would have a lot of people watch it, then maybe the expectations would get too high. And you can't impress everybody, especially people with expectations. To be honest, I'm jealous of people who can enjoy literally anything about a franchise because at least with Star Wars, with the last movie liked was Rogue One, and if that wasn't it, then it's Return of the Jedi, which released before I was born. I'm jealous there are people who enjoy all games, shows, movies, and spin-offs for something. Lumen! Expectations are never too high. Lovely to see you. The voice of reason. Hello, Lumen. How you doing? Well, if it isn't Mr. Lumen. That doesn't have quite the same kind of gravitas as if it was Sal, now Mrs. Lumen. Again, congratulations. Very happy for the both of you. I don't know what we're talking about, but the energy is there. Yeah, we're just talking about like movies and TV shows, and that's and like how you can't make the perfect show, can't make the perfect show for everybody, and we were just talking about the Legend of Korra and how it's Like it has objective faults, but then people do still enjoy it, and so that's not a bad thing. Mr. Snack, Mr. Snack, how you doing, Mr. Snack? Oh, please call me. I was gonna say call me Meal. Mr. Snack was my father. Watching a show again, like Stranger Things, is great if you do a deep dive analysis of it and realize all the trigs. Or with Game of Thrones, watch the show again. Better if the show made you read the books for the first time and compare the books. Oh, that's fair. Controversial opinion. I enjoyed the non-movie things best about Star Wars. That's fair. That I can understand. I think, like, not watched Andor, but I've heard a lot of good things about Andor. And I think if they do more stuff that is built into the lore and the world, but not necessarily connected to the Skywalker family or the Empire, like you could be just a small man. You know, you could just be a small, like insignificant speck in the scope of things. People would actually really enjoy that about the Star Wars universe because what they like about the Star Wars universe is the universe. Yeah, I agree. As a diehard Star Wars fan, I hate the recent movie. Yeah. Do you like Fallen Order, like Jedi, um, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Lumen, and of course, Zombie as well if you've played it. I sounded really aggressive when I said that. Played it? You know what I mean? I finished Andor and don't like it because it retcons the old timeline, which I'm a simp for. But it was a good show. Yeah, that's fair enough. One of my favorite Harry Potter movies is one that retcons or is like so far detached from the books. But I also kind of like that because I don't necessarily care for the books. Talking about even the prequel and movies, I like the universe but never the movies. Not a fan of politics or one too family focused on throughout the entire galaxy. Yeah, you have gajillions of people in your world. Let's focus on them. Yeah, absolutely. No, I definitely get that. It is, yeah, the fact that all of the movies kind of fixate on the Skywalkers. And I get like that a story has to be told somewhere, but like, yeah, I feel like they could have done more or with other people. Fallen Order was great. KOTOR games, uh, Knight of the Old Republic games, comics, TV shows, animated TV shows, even Rogue One side movie. Yeah, I agree. Rogue One is maybe my favorite of the Star Wars movies because I did like that it's that, you know, small to the ground kind of like from the ground up civilian kind of movie. And I like that. I really like that in the Star Wars universe. That was cool. Just got to play out an E. So I played Fallen Order, but only some of it. But it drives me up the fucking wall that it's Dark Souls Star Wars. Why can't I just tap a normal droid? Why do I have to do this dodge, roll, dodge bullshit? I mean, yeah, that's not for everyone, I'm sure. I have played a bit of Fallen Order. I didn't dislike it, but it just didn't run very well on my PC, so I had to stop playing it, essentially for that reason. I believe you, but I prefer the Force Unleashed games more. That's also fair. They weren't bad. Those ones were right. Could probably zoom in and don't actually need to be this far away from my canvas. I always do that when I'm coloring in or doing anything like on a canvas, like really far out from it. I've got no reason to be. like who is this for? Who is the wide view for? Myself, the audience who see me fuck up at coloring. Who knows? I do like how Mandalorian Book of Boba Fett Andor is basically just Firefly levels of good. That's fair. I respect that. Yeah, that stuff is. And again, I've not seen any of them, but I know that those are all quite popular because of that. Oh, that's not a big galactic war. It's space cowboys, what Star Wars was always supposed to be, in a sense, or a space western, in a sense. That was always what Star Wars was kind of supposed to be. Then it set the mold, and the mold changed, and it tried to fill that mold, and it was like, no, no, the mold has changed. Like, what if we used our old mold? And they did that, and it was actually. The truth is, we want to see cowboys in space. Oh, it was originally supposed to be Space Samurai. Yeah, that is true, isn't it? But it was supposed to be Space Samurai, and it was yeah based on that kind of a Space Samurai story. But Space Cowboy is good. Yeah. Have you ever? Uh, no, I don't know if this might be a thing, but there's a book called Bodega, and it was written by a guy who a part of the Yogs cast. But basically, it was his perspective of maybe poking a little bit of fun at the whole sci-fi kind of algorithm, but he basically makes up a bunch of random space words but uses them in a contextual kind of way. It creates a space cowboy story, and it's actually really good. Bodega Tales from the Bodega verse. Yeah, exactly that one. I think there is a growing audience for technically hard games. I just like simple games like Pokemon. Some YouTubers say they play it while walking on the treadmill. That's fair. Yeah, Pokemon is a good like it. You know what to expect with Pokemon, and that can be really comforting. I can definitely respect that. I love me a Souls game, but I can also definitely respect that kind of desire for something a little bit more, oh, a little bit less like intensive. Sure, it's for me. That's the itch that American Truck Simulator scratches, where I'm just sitting in a truck driving somewhere, and it's very like uncomplicated. Yeah, not creme slum dump. I need to get that like because I listened to the podcasts and where he read them out. So I'd love to get the book, but I haven't yet. But I love Pyrian Flex and his work. So it's only a matter of time. I also have a commission. Just to let you guys know, I have a commission. I've been commissioned to draw something, which is exciting but also terrifying because that means that I'll be busier, but not too much busier. So that should be fine. I think it's like that's a good way to kind of close out the year with just like a nice little commission on top of my comic work and stuff. Um, but yeah, it's been a really good year for all my work and stuff. So I'm actually really happy with how things have turned out. I think next year I might focus on a few different kind of things like building up a bit of an audience comic wise. But the audience has been really good. To be completely honest with you guys, awesome. Y'all have been fantastic. But I'm gonna work on pushing that up, pushing up those numbers, getting people to read it. I'm actually like throwing the link to people anytime they're actually curious about what I do, and that's been good. Hell yeah, 18 plus commission from women. I'd be happy to do that. Just gotta hit that commission button. Gotta lock in those commissions. I will go back and revise it, but I'll probably have 2 commission slots open for the rest of this year. And then next year I'll have the 3 open again. But I'm happy to do 18 plus. I just need to make a listing on that. Oh, actually, I do have not safe for work. My coffee. The commercial of a lifetime. Fuck. Yes. How big is the Star Wars galaxy? Well, according to the Wikipedia, galaxy we know of is one of trillions. There are 400 billion stars, 3.2 billion habitable, 200 million sentient species, and at least in the old timeline, there's about 10,000 Jedi. And we are still focusing on the Skywalkers. They have potential given them on a golden platter, but they throw it away for last cup. Yeah. Have a good stream. Wonderful day, everyone. All good. Smiley, have a good day. Thank you so much for popping in. Glad to see that you're doing well. I'll see you when I see you next. One of these. I mean, yeah, not safe for work art, sure. Happy to do it. I won't do furry art, despite the fact that I'm a mouse. But I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. I know they pay well, but I just don't want that money. And I'm not harshing on their lifestyle. You do whatever you want, but I just don't want to be part of it. So, damn, that's the one thing I was going to ask me to do. No, Lumen! How could you do this? How could you commission that from me? Oh, you maybe. I could be. I almost feel icky in saying it, but consider it a wedding gift. Oh, a wedding gift from Greymouse has arrived. Oh my god, it's Terry the Tiger with his cock out. Oh my god. That's not safe for work. Work art should be your main one. Oh god. I mean, I could do it, but I just, ugh. A furry female rat spilling Yakult over all over her titties. I mean, I could do that. Yeah, sure. Not furry art if I'm a mouse, right? Staring into the void. I'll do that for you. Oh, gonna need to shower after that. Jeez. Don't want matted fur from Yakult. That's disgusting. Run. No. Think at the curdling. Oh, I'm thinking. Can't stop thinking about it now. Curdled rat fur. No. Oh, my brain. My sweet innocence. That was a test and you failed the grandmas. No! Oh no! How will I ever recover? That's fine. What about me, Mr. Mass? What do you mean? Don't disregard what you believe in for our friendship. I'll disregard whatever I believe in. Not necessarily even for friendship, it's for money. I'll compromise my morals for cash. Fuck yeah. I'll do it. Yeah. But if it was a test of friendship, how could I fail? There are only two fests. Wow, Jesus. Only 2 tests I've ever failed in my lifetime. One is that maths test that we don't speak of. The other is my tax return. My yearly tax intake index. Then Rat Baby gonna make a turn very quickly one of these years. Oh my god, yeah, that's true. Ooh, can't disregard my morals. And the third, mass furry porn for cash. Yes. Been fallen into that trap before. But the furries pay so well. How can I turn them down? I can just say no. Block them. But all that cash. Think of all the yakult I can buy with that. Think of how much my morals would cost internally. I don't know. Could I truly abandon my morals for cash? Good enough, maybe. They have a lot of cash because what else are they gonna buy? Fursuits? That's true. You only buy one, I assume. Actually, I don't fucking furries. Weird. Sorry. Oh, it is weird. Sorry. Trying to be as open and accepting as possible, but fuck, it's weird. It can be weird. You only buy one fursuit, yobfos. You only buy the one. Unless you're Bruce Wayne, then you buy a few. That's that's not fair. He's a bat suit. It's not a bat fursuit. I really like Batman. Batman, what are you wearing? Joker. Head cut costs. Early Batman, this is more expensive. Hey, it's weird, but so is the world. Exactly. Yeah. World is a weird place. It could be worse. Bloody um addicted to pooping on the street. On a street corner. That's bad. Addicted to soft shelled tortillas. That's bad too, because think of how many phones you break. Eating up some. Uh, hydrate. Oh, thank you, zombie. There. Gonna just get some water. Gonna save too. Back. Got me some water. Psychologically, I think it's a testament to the creation of cartoon anime. From millennial cartoons where artists were on LSD, sexualized them. It's actually that's a really fair point, isn't it? It's that environmental influence. That makes sense. What's one maybe not bad but underwhelming episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender to you, Mouse? Um, one where the cabbage guy isn't in it. Yeah, that's true. That's a good one. That's a good scale and point of reference. Um, but I know that the Canyon episode is like notoriously considered one of like the worse episodes, like one of the less like lower quality episodes, where they were like the Great Divide, and they actually joke about it and mock it in the what are they called? The Amber Island Players episode. They like openly joke about it and joke about it being not very good, and that's like a good bit of self awareness and actually a good answer. Yeah. Um, just trying to think of any episodes that I skip when I go back to rewatch them. I don't skip any episodes of the final season, but I definitely think there are episodes I skip the earlier seasons. I was legit thinking about the Canyon episode. Yeah, yeah. Oh, actually, I really don't like the episode where Aang keeps some um, a military plan away from Sokka and Katara, and their friendship is really like um, takes a turn or takes a skew because Aang actively stops uh, Tara and Sokka from going to see their father, which they weren't gonna like abandon him, but it's one of those episodes where it feels like Aang is uncharacteristically selfish, and I really dislike that episode because yeah, it just doesn't feel like it rubs me the wrong way. The one where he thinks they'll leave him to see their dad. Yeah, yeah, that one I dislike. Oh, Vector. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that one. It just feels a little bit out of nowhere. Like it doesn't feel like it's in Aang's character to be that selfish and thoughtless. Well, and he is just a kid, sure, but like it's very weird. It feels very uncharacteristic, in my opinion. That's what I meant to do. Oh, that's right. And we meet Barto for the first time in that episode. Yeah, I also thought Barto was a little bit weird. Oh, and also like, because like they had to make like justification for Aang, or like internalized justification for Aang's actions. So just for that one episode and that one episode only, they're kind of dicks to Aang. But why does it keep like that? There you go. That was annoying. Does it feel like one of those this would happen to someone, and whether or not Aang would do it, we need drama? It I guess it for me it just feels like it doesn't suit the story well in that Aang's like we've been given the impression that Aang's been nothing but a good guy, and he actually would want what's best for everyone. He actively like would he would actively let Katara and Sokka leave if it was good for them, or if it did good for them. And there's been no illusion about that in the past. He's chosen to like give himself up for the water tribe and things like that. And then this one episode he's like, "Oh, my friends will leave if they find out where their dad is." And it's like this doesn't make sense. And then he actively hides the map and stuff. And it just feels like it is really out of nowhere. And yeah, I just didn't I wasn't a fan. Wasn't a fan. Like I actually kind of cringe a little bit when I see the little bit of it that I see before I skip. 'Cause it's like Aang's like even if it's like oh it's a decision Aang would make, it's like it's such a selfish decision that it feels really awkward, and that I don't want to be here to watch it happen. Essentially, it's like I'm witnessing a train wreck. I partially can't look away, but then also partially don't want to be there at all to witness it. Yeah, that episode. To answer your question, that episode. What about you? Okay, and that was we'll fill in the. If we got to know them more and did it later in the series, it makes even less sense since he knows them so much more. If they do it at the beginning, well, it still doesn't make sense since no, they won't. Yeah, exactly. And that they have like no reason to. Well, like yeah, and that's why it feels just dumb to me because like even a reasonable brain can understand that they're not going to just abandon Aang. Like even if he didn't overhear the conversation where Sokka says we're not going to abandon Aang, it's like he would still understand that they're not going to abandon him. Got to think about it. Yeah, exactly. It's a big question. But yeah, that one's definitely mine because like they wouldn't just abandon Aang, and Aang knows that. At this point, Aang fucking knows that. Yeah, and that's why it's one of my less favorite episodes. Once I realize what episode it is, I just skip ahead to the next episode. I'm like, I don't actually really want to. I don't really want to sit through that again. That makes me uncomfortable. Uncomfortable in a way that I'm more than happy to avoid. I'm a man of comfort, a mouse of comfort, pleasure. And we also know that they won't since there was going to be more episodes coming out. Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, it's just dumb. Oh, not dumb. It's just like it doesn't feel natural. Like it doesn't feel like natural storytelling. And it does bring up another episode for me in my mind. Not one that I hate or dislike, and I don't hate or dislike that episode either. I just find it hard to watch. But one episode that I find uh, has this same sort of problem, and I guess it's an issue with having so many likable and generally very responsible characters. Is that in some episodes they kind of have to forget that they trust and respect these characters or these other characters. So the episode with Jet and Jet's team, like the first time they meet Jet and his crew, the episode kind of sets up that soccer is Sokka's instincts, so in quotation marks, instincts are like a point of humor or like almost mockery in that sometimes his instincts are wrong, but throughout the course of the show, they're pretty spot on a good, you know, 80 to 85% of the time. So the whole like, oh, Sokka's instincts, like in a mocking tone, feels like it comes into the episode fresh so that it can be put into doubt through Jet and the fact that Jet is like able to kind of weasel his way into the good favor because of a lot of conveniences almost like a lot of more conveniences added to his kind of presence feels a bit all over the place in a sense, and the fact that they have to distrust a member of their own team in order to make this character seem trustworthy uh, feels contrived in my head. Not sure what I don't like, but I do genuinely like the beach episode since it shows that the kids don't know how to talk other kids their age because they are so high in society. And I love the Amber Island Players episode because it shows how Fire Nation propaganda is done, how they view the war. I'll defend those episodes because those are actually good and not filler. Well, the thing is they are filler, but that's not a bad thing. They're filler, but they're filler in like the world building filler, which is a good thing, and adds to that experience of the rest of the series. It's one of those things where it's like nowadays filler gets a pretty bad rap, but the truth is that it actually has a point. You know, a good portion of One Piece is that filler that I think people misunderstand the purpose of filler, and it's that it gives us a better sense of the characters in in a space where you're actually allowed to, or you're actually given time to get a good sense of them. Because like there are certain situations and landscapes where you're not going to understand a character 100%, and filler gives you an opportunity to get to know the character outside of its given context. I feel like a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen starts with a bit of like filler, and you get a little bit of like day to day for characters in Jujutsu Kaisen where in other animes you wouldn't. And so as a result, you can kind of feel a lot more connected to the characters from Kaisen uh, on a more personal level. And then when you get into the action, you're actually you're either rooting for the characters or you're scared for them. And that I feel is good storytelling. A good portion. I thought most of One Piece's filler. Yeah, I think that's a misunderstanding, but that's also okay because I think it is my point about a lot of people no longer fully understanding what filler is. Because so many animes kind of what's the word, bloat their series with bad filler, with filler that seems completely pointless, and it doesn't necessarily give your characters purpose or likability or personalization, because that's what good filler is that it builds up your characters and you get to know the characters and you get to like the characters. It's like the the artist's notes in manga, that you get to know the little like incremental detail of of the characters in a setting that actually feels calm and a place where you can actually talk about, what a character's favorite food is, or what their gear does, or what the little pouches on their belt contain. Things like that. Because, like, you wouldn't do that in the middle of a story because it's like, this feels out of place. Doesn't work. And it feels like the story is too bloated with just other shit as a result. Yeah. Oh, maybe this one in the chase episode, find out that the kids have been followed from Appa's fur, and that never happens before or after. Why not? Yeah, exactly. Again, it's a contrived almost plot convenience. They like give him a wash, but like he would still shed, afterward, and then they never use. Yeah, uh, Azula never uses Appa's fur to track him down ever again. You're right. It does seem a bit convenient. But then also, like, a good argument against that, or a good argument for a lot of our gripes, is that picture that's allowed to make kind of leaps. And I know neither one of us are like criticizing as well. So it's like, we get it. We get it. We get it. We're with it. We're with the kid. Even if you do wash him, you have to wash him a lot. Like probably every few days or something. Yeah, absolutely. You would have to. And I do know in the series they do wash him a few times. Which again, fine, but doesn't explain the absence of a lot of that. A lot of that, fur and stuff. And I don't count, well, it's done off screen. Or by that logic, theoretically anything can happen off screen. Yeah. The off screen, what's it word? The off screen convenience. Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of that either. I know from what I've heard, there's a One Piece off screen convenience where Shanks's scar is caused by a character, but it happens off screen, so you never see Shanks actually get injured or defeated in a fight. And it's like, nah, that's convenient. No, I don't believe you. Like Sokka's death, cough cough, that too. Yeah. No, situations where something happens off screen. But explain it. Explain yourself. Show it. Characters can't die off screen. Otherwise, they're not. Characters that you know cannot die off screen because how can you know if they're dead or not? And a lot of shows now do this. Not accidentally, but if you don't show a character being killed on screen, then they have the freedom to bring them back because you don't know that if they died or not. And it's a cheap way of kind of exploiting sentimentality for a character by killing them off in quotation marks off screen, having someone explain that they were killed off screen, and then bringing them back, and they're just like, I didn't die, I survived. And it's become a bit of a trope and a cheap storytelling kind of crutch, or a cheap tension crutch. Boring. Boring. boring right now. Gotta do something else. Come back to it. You can do it again at some point. Not now. Again, tropes aren't a bad thing. They're conventions of storytelling. But can't constantly do that. You gotta think outside the box. Try something new. Look at the story content that you're making. Does it have a death off screen? Does it have, you know, anything like that? How can you circumvent that? How can you avoid it while still telling your story? Ask the questions you gotta ask. How can you avoid being boring in storytelling? It's hard work, but writing should be. You know, it shouldn't be easy to write a story. It's hard. Obviously, Upper would shed, but it's only a big deal one time. He should, uh, realistically, he should shed a fuckload in the third season because like they're in the Fire Nation, a nation that's surrounded by volcanoes and heat. He should be shedding all the frickin' time then, but he doesn't. No longer plot convenient to have him shed. One thing I mean, here's something I'd love to actually add and talk about to a wider audience is that I actually love that so much of, and this is a bit of a spoiler for Avatar: The Last Airbender, but so much of the stories, like arcs, consist of the heroes losing. Like, the heroes lose a fuck ton. Like, they lose constantly. And it really is that sense of you may have won the battle, but you won't win, like, you can't win the war in that sense. In that Fire Nation keep kicking the Avatar's ass. They kill them at one point. But you can't keep winning in that sense because they're like weakening a lot of that foundation that they have. Because the Avatar is back and he will eventually win, like win out. And then, in an attack against them, which is during a time when they are at their strongest, that they were beaten, they lose, but they lose big too, as opposed to Aang, who has a lot of small losses and a lot of small wins, but like those are significantly smaller. Speaking of writing, I saw a meme of readers, very happy people, writers almost depressed, stressed, and anything else under the sun. Yeah, I mean, good writers and are, stressed out and depressed and things like that. Because, subject matter, content, things like that, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, I'm sure. I don't consider myself a writer. The thing, I consider myself an illustrator. But I do all the writing for the comic. But for me, a lot of it is secondary. No, I mean, not secondary. The writing is almost the most important part. But yeah, because so much of my work is illustration, I just don't consider myself a writer, even if I technically am. Well, okay, Mouse, I have issues with Serpent's Pass. Oh yeah, talk to me about it. What are your issues? Does it feel like filler? 'Cause I could definitely understand that that feels like filler, and bad filler too, because it's it teaches Aang a lesson that he already knew about himself. Or he should have known about himself, really. How could Sokka reject Suki like that? I know, right? I agree. No. I know there are like, I mean, there are issues with all of it, but some of it are, some of the imperfections. Well, my humble opinion. My opinion is humble. So humble. So very. Might actually be the person ever. Finally bought a tablet or a sketching glove. I'm actually gonna have a sketching glove. Should make drawing that little cleaner and smoother. But it's such a weird thing to never used one. Never had one before. Never thought about it until recently. I ordered one and I was like, cool, done. We see Katara making a bridge by making the water turn into ice. Cool. Okay, cool, that makes sense. So why can't she just do it the whole time across the gap of water? Then Aang flies them over the other side with his staff, and then Toph can make a piece of land go across with the endless amount of land she has. It's a good question, actually. I guess. No, that is a really good question. I'm curious. Well, some of it could probably be explained away with safety, for the safety of, uh, you know, transporting a pregnant woman would definitely make things more complicated. They don't have Appa, so they can't transport the pregnant lady. Appa. Aang can't transport her by himself. Uh, with Katara ice bending, there is a sea monster in the water, so that would actually increase the danger. And I about the earthbending, I don't know. That one definitely makes it more difficult, a more difficult question. I guess like my assumption would be there's kind of a limit to how much Toph can earthbend at one time. She could build a bridge for sure, but that would be slower than just walking the Serpent's Path. Toph and Katara can both make bridges with their specific powers, and then Aang flies them across. And of course, with the pregnant mum, be hella careful. Well, yeah, but how careful can you be with a pregnant woman while bending and things like that? And I guess that's the question. They're also just kids as well. And I definitely don't disagree with you. I feel like a lot of that feels um like it's out of like not out of nowhere. It feels like they kind of expanded a problem beyond its means when the answer could have been fairly simple, especially with, a team with the Avatar and the world's greatest, at the time, the world's greatest earthbender. And I admit, like, one of the greatest waterbenders of her age, especially of her age, like, age, not like period of time. Like, she was a prodigy. They were all prodigies as well. I think that was something that one of the books pointed out is that they're all prodigies, that they were all extremely gifted for their time. And not uh, and also including like Sokka, who was incredibly gifted for his time, and Suki, one of the best. But I get it. We need tension and stuff, but it can't be easy to get to Ba Sing Se. So I get that. Yeah, yeah. Ba Sing Se was difficult to get to, which actually, again, like one of those questions that doesn't really get answered in uh, Last Airbender, but like the disparity in not privilege, but treatment for benders and non-benders is that um, the path to Ba Sing Se, if you can't afford a ferry to, if you can't afford the ferry ride to Ba Sing Se, it is lethal. It's a lethal trip for a non-bender. And I don't mean like a non-bender like Suki or Sokka. I mean a non-bender who's just a normal farmer. Like a majority of the population of that world. Well, not a majority, but a proportion population. Think of how many people don't bend. And you tell that guy, like one of those people, to take the serpent's path. That's a death sentence for them. I mean, that literally that family went on benders, and one of them was pregnant. Question. And like, because so much of the societies and cultures are built around the bending style, so like earth bending, the earth bending and the air bending and things like that. If you had no bending ability, some of these nations, especially the air nation, actually, one thing I might add, especially like the air nation, if you were a non-bending air nomad, were fucked. So many of their cultures are only accessible by airbending or by the Fire Nation with their technology. So a non-bending air nomad is like just, I assume, abandoned. Actually, I think this question is answered at some point, but I just put a bunch of shadows on the wrong side. I have. Oh my god. I'm a fool. These all need to. Some of these need to change. Hold on, let me fix this. Dang it. Wasn't paying attention. Talking about one of my favorite subjects, Avatar. Also, Suki only goes with the group to make sure Sokka is okay. Okay, I get that part. She obviously loves him and cares about him, but then how does she go back to the docks where she just goes back to Kyoshi Warriors? Goes back to where Kyoshi Warriors are. Does Suki swim across the water where the serpent may or may not be? I assume because she worked for the ferry system, she probably got a ferry back. That's my assumption. That she was because she was a part of the earthbending kind of nation or the Kyoshi kind of nation of warriors. She probably got a ferry back. I think she was. Actually, they also had tickets. They had like 3 tickets. Oh, not 3 tickets. A gang amount of tickets. So I think she probably got back one of those ways. That one be. Fuck it. Not that it's a bad thing. Shadow wise. Shadow. Shadow Gotham. Can only apologize. Okay, that's a great point, but wouldn't she be in the ferry while the serpent is probably close to her? I don't think it would matter. I think the ferry is safe from the serpent, and that's why it's so widely used. I think the ferry probably contains like a bunch of earthbenders who just, bring up mounds of earth from the seafloor, just swat it away. Actually, also, isn't the ferry on like the other side to the serpent? I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, my assumption is that it would just be safe. Which is a part of one of my other theories where it's not an objective theory, but it's a subjective explanation of if it did work, it does work. And basically this that like theory is that it may seem unbelievable, but if it did work in whatever thing you're watching, then it does work in that sense, because it's like there's no point arguing over if it does or doesn't work. If it did work, it does work. But Suki would have to go back the way they came. I mean, which is where the gap is, right? Admittedly, like yes, but the ferry has made that journey multiple times, and if the ferry's made that journey multiple times, it probably would have encountered the sea serpent at some point in that journey. So, admittedly, the ferry would likely have some sort of defense against it if it were to even attack, because we in the series we never see a sea serpent attack a ship, so we actually don't even know if a sea serpent would attack this ship without that context, without that given visual context. But I also like I could definitely recognize that like my explanation of if it did work, then it does work would shit people. It's like no, by laws of physics, it doesn't work. And I'm like yes, but if it did work, it does work. You know. And it's the sense of suspension of disbelief. So the better argument for it is the suspension of disbelief, in that if you want to buy into the world and be immersed in the story, then you need to understand that if something happens in this world and it works, then you kind of need to suspend your disbelief of whether or not it could work, because in the world it did work. Even if it's not a fantasy world, the sense of storytelling, if something actually works out, that maybe shouldn't work out. If it does still work out, then it has. It's like arguing over something in the past. It doesn't make a difference now. There's also a Fire Nation ship that catapults a fireball at them. But how does the Fire Nation know it's people they want dead, or they just shoot at whoever? It's a weird. It was weird that the Fire Nation ship shot at them without knowing who they are. Well, is it? Yeah, that the Serpent's Pass? If it is, that is very weird, especially since it's in Earth Nation territory. But even that said, I don't know. That I don't know about. Purely because I can't remember every minute detail of the show. I might watch it again though. My assumption is I'm the smartest mouse on the face of this earth. But no, I can't remember every little thing, I think. Realistically, I can't. Other people, okay, but that's not possible, mouse. If it did work, it does work. Other people, but how? How did they know? Mouse, if it did work, it does work. Other people, but how can you prove it's foolproof? Mouse, it did work. If it did work, it does work. Mouse, if it, yeah, it is a full rebuttal, and it's this sense that like I criticize films all the time, but my argument for a lot of things, like, oh, they couldn't have possibly survived that car crash. It's like, but you saw them climb out. This is a film taking place in a universe that is very similar to our own, except it has Vin Diesel and his family, and he uses the power of family to stay alive in a crashing car. You know, and in that sense, if he survived that, like jump across a bridge to catch Letty, and lands on a car that's moving in the opposite direction, like sure, it shits me, but hey, it did work in the film, so it does work in the film. Doesn't work in real life. Don't do it actually. Don't actually do it in real life, but like in the sense of the film, if it did work, it does work. And yeah, I love how it would just shit people. They're like, but no. And it's like, no, no, no. It did work, it does work. No, mate. If it did work, it does work. I might make that a t-shirt. One of the first piece of like grey mass t-shirt like merch is just if it did work, it does work. And people are like, what the fuck does that mean? It's gibberish. No, it's not. As if it did work. It so dumb, but also very funny. To me, anyhow. And that's half the battle. And some, oh, yippee, did it. I didn't annoy anyone. Didn't soften any issues. Didn't exacerbate any. Love that. Love when that happens. Ah, Jesus, no. I need the shadow color. Why did I do that? I had to refill these lines. Then I'll add those shadows. Yeah, I do find it funny. Fun. Yeah, my best argument is I have a degree in film. I know this shit. But then I also love the argument that work it does work. Just such an unhelpful like discussion, but it's so funny. It's like, oh, it's dumb. It's so unrealistic, and it's like, is it supposed to be realistic? It's a film. It's a about power of family. Vin Diesel. Do I enjoy those films? No, absolutely not. I think Vin Diesel is a sometimes is a bit of a dweebus, but do I want to stop people from enjoying them? If I can be truly honest, I think people miss the point in a lot of films a lot of the time. So I just argue a point that's never gonna be kind of like argued back. I win. Then I win. I also hate one part of the Upper's Lost Days episode because I actively shit on the shit because I actively shit on and hate circuses. Oh right. Yeah. But it's good that they're that, but it's good that because they show how bad they are in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, I don't think they're depicted in a good light, but also the sense that they're there for entertainment, but also exploitation. Is this grim reality in that? That I definitely get. Cool. That's the shadows. So we shadow. Yeah. So my opinion, I definitely don't like circuses that exploit animals, but there are, in terms of zoos, there are some zoos that are not necessarily necessary, but some are quite important for the conservation of animals. In Australia, there's a very strong emphasis on animal conservation, so a large portion of the large panda population is kept alive because of certain zoos that actually have a breeding program that is successful. One of those can actually be found here in Adelaide. So the reason why and like the giant panda population uh, has managed to stay has managed to move away from endangered slowly but surely. It's because pandas are more likely to breed captivity over in the wild. On top of that, Siberian tigers are better off. Some are better off, or not some, sorry. Their populations are better off in a zoo than they are in the wild, just because humanity sucks in a good capacity. And it's like if they were better off in the wild, then absolutely some aren't, which is tragic. Now, in terms of we need to save these animals, otherwise they'll die and keep endangered animals alive. Okay, they're very helpful as long as replicate their natural habitat. Yes, and that is the distinction, isn't it? Like that's the most important part because I'm 100% on your side in that there are definitely zoos out there that are horrible, and that does no good to benefit anything other than a profit margin. That's disgusting. So yeah, no, I definitely get that sense. There are some zoos that I've visited that I just left feeling sad afterwards because of the way they kept animals, and that I can definitely respect for sure. I mean, I respect it all. Your opinion is very valid. Yeah. Some zoos suck, man. Tell you what, no, I'm not gonna shit on any zoos in Australia. Though there are a few like like a like a certain zoo owned by a very famous Australian family. Not good. But the treatment of animals is there for the profit margin and not for actual conservation. Despite the said family taking a lot of credit for uh, animal populations that have been rescued in the areas where that zoo operates, despite it not being a correlation and definitely not connected. Or tenuously. But the haha, look, mummy, there's a bear. This bear is on a bicycle. Yeah, fuck that. Let the homie free and go kill a deer or something. Oh yeah, that absolutely, 100%. Yeah, definitely side with you there. Yeah, I don't like the performing animals. The education, like, hate to use the term performing, but the education performing stuff, very fascinating. But even that is like there's a certain degree where it shouldn't be making a animal perform for people. It's not cool. Okay, cool. We got shadows. We got shadows. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Been drawing shadows for years. Oh, yeah, now. Y'all don't believe that I've been drawing all my life. I only started, yeah, yeah, video documentation. Learned how to, I at least know how to draw since last year. At least. Also hate that predators can't hunt or kill at all because people don't want to see a goat die and stuff. Well, sorry, sweetheart, that's how it happens. Get used. Yeah, no, yeah, that's fair. It's the circle of life. I went to a zoo at feeding time, and they do the wild animal, not the wild animal stuff, but like the whole lion hunting stuff, opposed to the see a lion on a whole rabbit. Grim. Also, I love that there was a warning on the exhibit saying that like male lions can piss backwards 3 meters, so be careful. Don't stand too close to the mesh. I'm pretty sure I saw it did get pissed on by a lion. Can't be certain though. I don't think it did, but they were crying. So I can only assume it's that. That or they didn't get a gift, like a toy from the extortion shop, which is always the thing. Gift shop is always like ridiculously priced. Pretty much just space in other than mucker. I mean, other than shroud him in darkness. Having that realization that I have not eaten today, but I might end the night just so that I can eat. One thing I cannot stand the idea of is This is at work today. That I can work from home quite often. I mean, like most, if not every day, other than 2 days. Um, and so I went into the office today purely to pick up a file and then basically just head back quickly. But as I was heading back, I got in my car and was getting ready to leave. I saw my workplace enemy. Let's just call him. I'm not gonna use their real name. Let's just call him. We need a name. My workplace nemesis. Let's call him. I don't want to call him anything that's mean because he's like my workplace nemesis joke, and I don't actually dislike this person. Um, let's call him something random. Peggle. My workplace nemesis Peggle was walking back into the office. He was doing something that he shouldn't do. Basically, he was walking down a part that's purely for cars. He was he was walking down it, and I was like, "Oh, mate, my opportunity to run him down," because I was in my car at that point. And then I didn't run him down. I slowly drove around him and was just smiling and laughing past him. And then when I got the post office, because I was sending off a sticker order uh, from my coffee. Hey, shout out to my coffee if you guys want stickers. Shipping is now actually a reasonable amount, not extortionate like it used to be. Thank you so much, Loki, for uh, catching that. Didn't rip anyone off, thank God. Um, but basically, like, I went to go and ship these stickers off, and I just sent Peggle a little message that said, uh, if a certain other coworker was there with him, I said, if this other coworker wasn't there with you, Peggle, I I would have I would have become the new head of his department because he's the head of his department. I would have become the new head of the department because that's how I assume promotions work, Thailander style. He went, oh yeah, because I'd love a. I mean, what makes you think I wouldn't love a cushy job in my department? And I said, bold of you to assume I wouldn't hit you that hard. You'd probably be expecting more of a cushy bed in a hospital. And then he told my boss, and she found it funny. So I got away scot free because just a whimsical little chap in my office. I was safe. Didn't get in any trouble. A lot of jokes though, of course, because I sounded like a lunatic, and rightly so. The Lord Mass, that was great. You like that? I can always update you guys with stories of Peggle, and I'll make up names for my co-workers and stuff because I wouldn't want to dox them. That's fine. Like I don't want to dox them. I don't want to dox myself, let alone them. But yeah, do you know when you'll want to watch Korra? I have no idea. It really depends on when I'm available, and I'm not super available. That's my biggest issue. I also need to get a Crunchyroll subscription. Are you his workplace enemy? I think I'm his best friend, honestly. I think I'm actually like his best mate. I feel like he'd be hurt if he found out that I refer to him as close enemy. My nemesis, my nemesis. Oh, I think I also just never pointed out, but I mean, I did point out partially, but yeah, I've done work on other panels. Um, and for those of you in my Discord who know about the character creation section, you will find that this character is very familiar. This is Jellybean's um, little character design. Now as a fully realized character. Uh, as a fully realized character in the comic. It's super cool, and I'm actually so happy with how it turned out. What's for real, so the distaste is one-sided? It's not even one-sided. I don't dislike him. I think Peggle's great. Like, Peggle's very funny. But it's like a bit of a running joke in our office that we're enemies. And that I would never hang out with him outside of work. Even though the truth is that I've hung out with him outside of work. I went to his birthday. So, like, that goes to show how much bullshit I'm talking, you know? I've never heard of this before. Peggle? Or Jellybean? Let's not prefer him. No, I like him. I do actually like him. I just like making fun of them. It's the Australian way to give people guff. I like them. I think they're cool. Wait, so are you enemies or not? We're not enemies. No, we're not enemies. We just pretend to be. It's all an act. Hold on, I could show you. Hold on, not show you. Um, let me let me draw you a picture. Because I also didn't get a warm up redeem, so I could always just draw to the end of the stream. Draw something a little goofy. This is my drafting pencil as well. So it's actually I really like um busting each other's balls. It's that. Okay, that's funny. Yeah, yeah, we're just busting each other's balls, exactly. So this is me and Peggle. I actually really kind of like this drawing already. I'm gonna keep this. I might send it to him. Loves a good vest, but like a puffer vest. That's our Peggle. Maybe. Oh, you know what? I just thought of a new redeem that actually would be kind of fun, and because like the warm up redeems are good, they're like really good practice for me. But I don't get to do them very often. But how about we? I'll keep. Actually, I might switch out the gray reviews for this, but instead of the gray reviews, I explain something like in a visual way. Like I draw something and explain it with a visual aid. Because that'd actually be kind of cool. I don't necessarily have to draw it well. I just have to draw it um, coherent. How do I draw my ass? I really like the sketch pen, but why not both? The gray, like, I could add it like, well, because would you prefer a gray reviews where I review films and stuff, or a gray explains where I can still review films, but I explain what I like or dislike about them with a drawing. So it would be like a combination of both. So it may not be gray explains, but it will be something along those lines. Or it's like gray gray breaks down, a gray breakdown, and it's like people will be like, "Oh, does he just have like a mental breakdown on stream?" In a sense, yes. But oh, then that okay, then that please. Yeah, I was it's like cuz if I word it well, then it could be both. And that's what I would want it to be. Cuz then it's two birds one stone essentially. Yeah, I kind of like the idea as well. And then we just I can have like little like I can have red uh like red markings and stuff like that is like cool uh big hold on fingers and stuff like that. Probably Grace breakdown of a show. Well, we don't want to exclude it to just a show. How about Grace breakdown of a thing? Or Grace breakdown of a thingus? So then it's not necessarily limited to just a show. It could be a game, it could be, you know, it could be explain a plot badly because I explained Berserk to one of my friends and she loved it, but only because of how I explained it. No, that makes me look like Dumbledore. An old mouse Dumbledore. But that's better. But that's better than Grey Breaks Down. It is, yeah. It is definitely better than Grey Breaks Down. And then I'll move Grey. This is an explanation of Grey and Peggle. No, he doesn't need shoes. Actually, no. Hold on. Does need shoes. Got a favorite pair of shoes. That's just his way. Here we go. Perfect. Yeah. This was a very nice explanation. Yeah, but I really like this brush pen because it's like it's almost like a pencil, essentially. It has the same kind of consistency as a pencil, but I would never use it for drawing or like the line work of the comic. I would use it for drafting and stuff. And for sketching in shadows and things like that, like I'm doing now. When did I say I'll be ending stream? Probably in a few minutes, just because I haven't eaten. I should probably eat. Um, that being said, I should jump back to my comic. Let's just throw that up into the up. There you go. Yes, throw them up there. But we why? But why we barely talked about Avatar: Last Airbender? I haven't eaten. I need food. I also need to take my bins out. And worse still, I actually have to do the highlight work on my comic. Been putting off. Let's be honest, in another 30 minutes, or less than 30 minutes, I'll end stream anyway. Things is how it'll be 3 hours. I could keep going for another 30. Maybe. We'll see. Or eat on stream. There's an idea. Hold on, I'll go buy food. Give me a second. Yeah, I definitely don't want to eat on stream. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like misophonia, where basically the sound of someone chewing on in like a show or an audio makes me like physically curl up into a ball. So I would never do that. Like I would never want to eat on stream. That's just my sort of like thing. But that's why I'm never gonna like eat on stream. The Denethor effect. Exactly, the Denethor effect. You know my work. But yeah, like and that's why I came up with the effect because it like the sound of people chewing seriously affects me. And by seriously affects me it means I am a fully functioning human where I don't mind. I'm not gonna be bothered by it, but like it does bother me. I'm not gonna be bothered to the point where I actually like tell someone to stop. But yeah, I would never eat on stream. Come on, mouse, turn this into an ASMR stream. Need something to listen to while I sleep. Again, ASMR is something that just doesn't tickle my pickle. Not a big fan of it. Sometimes when I go to talk to Moni Stera, she's doing ASMR and it makes me like, ugh. I go catatonic. I go like I'm like a rat in an aqueduct. I'm gone. That's how she keeps me from picking on her. She'll just do an ASMR stream, and I'll just be like, I can't listen to this, and I'm like, hey, Moni has the stupidest dingus out there, and then she's like, um, spraying some shit on her microphone, and I'm just like, I gotta go clean my ears. No ASMR stream, L streamer. You don't want ASMR from me. Absolutely not. I'm not an ASMR kind of guy. That's not what my content needs. ASMR. Absolutely not. I am. You'd like it. I know you'd like it. That's fair enough. Can I recommend you to Moni Stera? She's great. She's a great ASMR streamer. She does all the ASMR things. Like I'm pretty sure she spits on the mic sometimes, and cuts your hair in ASMR. Creepiest moments in Avatar: The Last Airbender. I mean, the Ko stuff is great, like fantastically unnerving, especially as a kid. One thing I like, I guess it's kind of creepy, but it's more eerie, I guess. But the implication of um, Monk Gyatso's demise. So Gyatso, I think it's Monk Gyatso. Yeah, anything with Ko is yeah, he's Ko. Yeah, exactly. But Aang's teacher, so it's not creepy necessarily, but it's like it's almost melancholy. Gyatso, Monk Gyatso, not whatever I said. Monk Gyatso, yeah. Um, but you see in the episode where Aang returns to the air nomad temple where he was raised, everyone's dead. But with Gyatso, um, they go into the room and he doesn't have a mark on him. The only thing that's happened to him, other than, his corpse and stuff, is that it's decayed from time. Mas can't do an ASMR stream, say Gyatso correctly. What else? What else can he do? I can do plenty of shit. Sorry, I've gotten confused. Not confused, distracted. Um, but basically, it's the implication to that scene is that when all the and also there are like a bunch of firebenders and firebender soldiers in the room, and they're all dead too. So the implication is that he expelled the air from the room, teaching them a fatal lesson that firebending needs other bending styles or other elements to live. I had the theory that Monk Gyatso an air nuke attack where he sucked the air from the firebending lungs, and I love that. I think it's not even that he sucked the air from the firebender's lungs, he sucked it from the room. So he expelled all the air from the room so that they couldn't, and he's trapped as well with his back to the wall. Yeah, exactly. But they can't firebend without air because you can't create fire without oxygen. But also the implication is that he gave up going to Air Nomad Heaven or to the Air Nomad Heaven to teach this valuable lesson. Because, as we remember, one of the biggest plot points of Aang not killing the Fire Lord is that if you commit murder or you kill, even in the name of justice, you are not allowed to go to the heaven. Or not allowed to go to their sacred lands, after death. So Gyatso um, gave up that. Just uh, he just gave it up basically to teach that lesson. Because like he could have just died. He could have just gone, well, I guess I'm gonna die, and that would have been it, and he would have gone to his sanctuary. But no, and the Firebenders are at the height of their power since it's Sozin's Comet. So fuck all this play fair bullshit. Yeah, exactly. At the height of their power, they can still be weakened by the nature of what balance is as well, which is such a cool concept and such a grim or perfect reminder that every single one of the elements need each other. And that's one thing that I like in Legend of Korra is that that's kind of expanded upon. I think the spirit stuff does fuck that up a little bit, but like for the most part, it is expanded upon that no nation is purely good and no nation is purely evil. There are just good people and bad people in any nation and any kind of like culture. There are people who take ideals too far or take them the wrong way, and that creates animosity. And that's something I like about Legend of Korra. that it does expand on that a little bit more. Not very, like, not a great deal more, but like a little bit. That's fine. That's good enough for me. I feel like these counters higher, but that's okay. But yeah, I love that. I love that theory because like I'd like to believe it's true. If it's not true, whatever. But I'd like to believe it is. Fucking baller. Just baller. Grim, but also impactful. Shit that I really like. That that shit that I just eat. There's also people like General Fong who do mean well and want what's best, but aren't doing it in the best ways. Yes, he's on Aang's side, but not really when threatens Katara. Okay, now this is. Yeah, exactly. It's like he wants to, like, essentially on paper, he wants to help Aang roll the Avatar state that he can use it to fight the Fire Nation. If, and he's right, like, if Aang could control the Avatar state at that point, he could end the war. Straight up. Like, he straight up could end the war if he could control the Avatar state. However, can't. That's fine, because he's a 12-year-old boy. Like, it would be unreasonable to expect that of him. It's just the conditions of the war, you know, and that's why that's why he essentially General Fong takes it too far. In that he basically creates an enemy of the Avatar, just try and spur the Avatar state into working. Ooh, one thing, like one pet peeve I have about not the community, but one pet peeve I have about a misunderstanding about um Avatar is in the final fight against Ozai. Ozai? Yeah, Firelord Ozai. Uh, is that I've seen so many like people in memes and stuff like that who are just like when Aang comes out of the boulder or the ball that he's made for himself uh out of Earth in the Avatar state uh and grabs Ozai by the chin like beard. People are like, oh, Kyoshi's out, and it's like it's not Kyoshi. Literally this entire like third season or even like second season up to the third season has been about Aang controlling his avatar state. He goes to see um that monk in the air temple and he is teaching him about controlling the avatar state. It's literally about Aang controlling the avatar state. When he becomes a fully realized character, he is told that he will be able to control the avatar state, and in the moment of his greatest need, it will come to him. And then people are like, "Oh, it's Kyoshi," and it's like, it's absolutely not Kyoshi. What the fuck? Have you not been paying attention? Like, it just straight up doesn't make sense to me. Then there's the old man who sold out Haru to the firebenders. Tara earthbender to save the old man. Oh yeah, that piece of shit. But then another old man who is saved by Sokka from Jet convinces the townspeople Sokka is telling the truth, They're, thereby helping the townspeople live. The old man in the Fire Nation trusts the kid from the Water Tribe. The old man from the Earth Kingdom is a prick to those who helped him. Yeah, it's that not dichotomy, but it's just the fact that people are going to be people always. And they may be good, they may be bad. All we can know for certain is that, it is best to try and be good. That's the best you can do. That, like, at the end of the day, is kind of the lesson, isn't it? People are going to be good or people are going to be bad. So it's better to try and good. Oh, Mass, that's right. Do you think Aang not killing Ozai is some Deus Ex Machina bullshit? Or is that something else? That's the spirit bending stuff. That I find to be bullshit. That's a Deus Ex Machina. Oh, did I draw it in shadows? Hold on. I did. Oh no. Give me a moment. Yeah, so the thing I dislike about the spirit bending is bullshit. But the thing I find annoying is that people assumed that Kyoshi was controlling the Avatar state when Aang takes on the Avatar state in the final battle, even though there's actually there's absolutely no evidence to suggest that. So I've seen so many memes that are just like, oh, Kyoshi's like, it's my turn, and it's just like, Kyoshi's not there. Well, Kyoshi is there, but she's not controlling the Avatar state. One of the dumbest fucking, like, things I've seen on nets. Like, nice, thank you for discrediting all of Aang's work and effort to kind of reach this point to control the Avatar state. That's literally been one of his biggest arcs from this point in the story, and it's so annoying that people just discredit that completely. They're just like, oh yeah, Kyoshi's a badass. She would do this because she's a badass. It's like, no, it's Aang's badass moment. Come on. Come on. Then the little girl who had her home destroyed by Jet, she finds a doll in the river and goes, Miss Pretty, hugs a doll. Like, bro, there's no way she is somehow, any way possibly inherently evil. Same goes for May's little brother, just a kid. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that as soon as you brought up that little girl. Yeah, I'm like, May's little brother. Baby. He ended up at that point from misadventure. He's not a bad kid. Not a monster. Just a kid. I truly believe that people discredit Aang because he's a little bald kid like Caillou. And no one ever wants to give Caillou credit. And they shouldn't, because Caillou's a little bitch. Caillou sucks. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Okay, I think that is actually me done for tonight. Cool, alright. Let's export. And then, my ears. Export. I might have him, like, give out a little huff of air, though. But that's me done for the night. So let's go look at raid. Raiden time. Or June, who by the way is hot as fuck and could totally dom me if she wanted to. Uh, I'm just saying, if I'm correct, she just wants to get paid. Oh yeah, her, yeah. I get what you mean. And yes, fighting for money isn't the best of motives, but she wants to buy stuff. She wants and pay her rent, so I get it. I don't think she was loyal to anyone per se. Yeah, no, well, She was loyal to a code. The code just happened to be cash. And like on both sides of the coin, that could be kind of an excuse for doing something wrong, like doing something bad, or uh, a false excuse for doing something good. But like even so, she had a code and she was sticking to it. That's chill. Like she was a good character. Don't have many people online tonight. We got Rat Banshee, we got Suited, we got Liam, we got Just Ellie Will Do, and we got Sunny and Logan. I feel like I kind of want to jump to Sunny and Logan because I haven't rated her for a little while. Random thing I know: the poison dart the beetle head merchants shoot Arpa with to paralyze him is the same stuff June's mole rat looking thing uses. That makes sense. That's cool, and it's a nice like circular um like it's almost like a resolution to that kind of world building because there's a thread that is all tied up with that. I like it. I didn't know that, but I also like that. I like that, and it makes sense. It explains a lot. All right, let's get ready to raid. Gonna jump into Sunny and Logan. But anyway, thank you all so much for joining me tonight. Got a good little bit done, and it was a nice bit of progress for the evening. Very happy with how it turned out, but I'm gonna go raid out. I'm gonna have some food. You guys all on Friday when I play a little bit more uh Reg. Matt's gonna miss you. I'll miss you too. But I'll see you real soon. Don't even worry about it. And we'll set up a day to watch Korra together as a gang. But until then, I'll see you guys all on Friday.